it says that God speaks all the time through a vision, through a dream, through a vision of the night. He speaks once, twice, but the man perceive it not. And today I want to talk to you about how you recognize the voice of God. Because God is very interesting. He doesn't really speak the same way all the time. He changes and he uses different tactics for different people and for different times, depending where we are in our journey. And today I'm going to tell you the story of a young kid. His name was Samuel, and he was dedicated from birth to God by his mom. So when the mom brought him to the priest, he said, teach him everything that he needs to know, because this man is a prophet, I know, and he is sent by God, and he's dedicated completely to God. So this young man grows in the priest's home, and one night, in the middle of the night, the kid hears his master's voice and says, Samuel, Samuel. And the kid wakes up and he goes to his master and he said, Master, here I am, you called me. And the master is sleeping, is like, no, I did not call you. Go back to sleep. The kid goes back to sleep. Again, in the middle of the night, he hears the voice and says, Samuel, Samuel. So he thinks, is like, oh, it's my master's voice, definitely. Let me go back. Why is my master calling me? So he goes back and says, Master, here I am. And the master said, no, I did not call you. But then he realized that is probably God calling him. But the kid hears my voice because that's the only way that he recognized God's voice. So he sends him back to sleep and he says, if he calls you again, say, here I am, God, speak to me. And the kid goes back and God calls him again, says, Samuel, Samuel. But this time the kid knows it's not his master's voice. It is God himself who speaks to him. And he says, here I am, God, speak to me. And then God starts to speak. The point is this: God speaks different voices, and at times he uses familiar voices that we know to speak through us, because God himself cannot speak English, American, Romanian, Chinese, Japanese, Indian, Danish. He does not. He doesn't have a language. He speaks most of the time in our spirit, but we perceive it as a language. And most of the time he uses the people that you know, whether it's your father, your spiritual father, your mother, or someone's voice that you're familiar with, because then he can capture your attention. Otherwise you can discount it easily. Now there are many, many, many other ways that God speaks, and I would love for you to tell me if you know those types. If you don't, I would be more than happy to talk to you about it and to teach you what I know, because my God speaks many, many, many different ways, but if we're not careful, we can easily miss it. Please comment below. Tell me, how do you hear God? How does he speak to you? Would love to hear your thoughts. Bless you, friends. Bless you, bless you. And I pray that you hear God loud and clear, and more than anything, that you actually do what he's asking you to do. Bless you.